We will create a delivery app where the delivery guy can ask for a signature. Based on it, we will create an Invoice PDF document with the signature of the customer included. So all in all, we will use Syncfusion packages to display a signature pad and also to generate the PDF document, including some text, images, and we will also save this PDF document. If you're new here, subscribe to my channel and make sure to watch this video till the end. Let's get started by creating the signature pad first. Therefore, we make use of the Syncfusion Flutter signature package with which you can then create here signature pads. Therefore, let's get started with our build method. And here inside we want to create then a signature pad widget. And now if I hot reload, I can basically draw here inside my signature. To make use of this widget, you also need to go to your pub/spec YAML file. And here you need to include then this Syncfusion Flutter signature under your dependencies. You also can give here a background color for your signature pad. And now our signature pad has here a yellow color with some opacity. Next, we want to click on the Submit Delivery button to actually then save our signature and also generate here a PDF document where our signature is included. And therefore, to access our signature from our signature pad, we need to add here a key. And then we basically add here a key signature pad within our state, which is then of global key signature pad state. And with this global key, we can access then the state of our signature pad. Therefore, I go here to our scaffold and here I go all the way down where I have implemented here also this button, which you see here at the bottom. And if we click on this button, then we want to use our key. Let's simply create here a new method on submit. And inside of this method, we want to call then key signature pad, and then we can access the state of our signature pad. And here you have basically a method to image to get then the image of our signature. And next we want to put this image of our signature then inside of our PDF document that we will generate. And to achieve this, we want to convert here our image object to the byte data. And inside of this method to byte data, we also need to define then the format of our image. And therefore I define here that it is a PNG format. And now based on the signature image, we want to create our PDF document. And therefore we want to display first of all a loading indicator if we click on this button, and after it we want to call then the pop method to hide our loading indicator again. Next we want to generate a PDF document, and therefore we call here a method PDF API generate PDF, and inside of it we want to place then first of all our order, which holds then here all the products that you see here on the screen, and secondly we want to put then our image signature inside, which is here the signature as bytes. And now we want to create this generate PDF method together. Therefore we go here inside of a new class and here we create this method. And next we want to use this package Syncfusion Flutter PDF. And with this package you can then generate some PDF documents, and this is exactly what we want to do right now. Let's get started by creating a PDF document. And at the end, after we have created our document, we also want to save our file. And therefore we create here a new method to save our PDF document. And then we want to store our PDF document within our local file storage. And therefore we get here first of all the directory where we want to store our PDF document. And here within this path of our application documents directory, we want to store then our file. And this file consists out of our path. And secondly, we give it also here a file name and also an extension PDF. And now we want to save our PDF document within this file, and therefore you can simply call here file write as bytes, and then you can call here on this PDF document the save method, which will then convert our PDF document to bytes. And lastly, we want to return then here the file where we have stored then our PDF document inside. Next, we want to create then the structure of our PDF document, and therefore we create here first of all a new page, and therefore you can simply add here to your current PDF document a page, and now we want to use this page to actually write on it, and therefore we want to write here our signature on it, and we also put here the image inside, which we have extracted before from our signature pad. And now we create this draw signature method. First of all, you can access from your page the page size, which we later use to actually position our elements on our PDF document. And secondly, we want to create then out of our byte data, our image, we want to create then a PDF bitmap, which we can later display within our PDF document. And now we want to display this image in our PDF document, and therefore we can simply access here from our page the graphics, and here inside you have then a method draw image, and we put here simply our image inside. And next to it you also need to define where this image should be displayed on our screen, and therefore we make here use of our page size. And then we can basically access here the width of our page and also the height of our page, and based on it we can then determine where we want to display our image. And next to the position you also can define the width and height of this image, so how large should it be displayed, and this is what you do then here with the width and with the height. And now we want to try out to generate our PDF document, but before this we need to go back here to our signature page. And here inside we want to call then also this open file open method, with which we can then also open our file that we have generated before. And therefore we will also make use of another package, therefore go to your pubspec YAML file. And here under our dependencies I have included this package openfile. Make sure to hot restart your application, and now we can try the submit button out. And with this we have generated here this PDF document, and we also display here already our signature inside. And like you can see, our signature is then displayed here at the width -120 on the x-axis. So here on the right side we have 120 pixels, and also here at the bottom we have 200 pixels. And now we want to look at how we can display here more information on our PDF document. And therefore we want to look at how we can also display here to text next to our signature. And to achieve this is pretty simple. So here we simply call then page graphics, and here the method draw string. And then we need to put here the string inside that we want to display. And therefore I basically create here a total string with a price and a date. And I also define here the price and also the date based on our order information. So basically you can put here anything inside which you like. And then we also have here the option to actually define the font size. So you can define here the font family and the font size itself. And you also want to define then here the format where it should be displayed, because we have here multiple lines that we want to display, and we want to format our text then to the left side. And lastly, you can define where your text should be displayed. So you define here the bounds, and then you define here the x coordinate, the y coordinate. And lastly, you also define the width and height, which you can simply set to 0, because it will automatically determine how big the string is then displayed. And now we can try it again out, so go back and click again on this button. And with this we have generated again another PDF document, and this time you also see here the text inside, which contains then our price and also the current datetime object. Next we want to look at how we can also display here a whole table within our PDF document, where we put then all the different delivery options inside, so all the products that the person has ordered. To create this table, we go back to our generate PDF method, and here inside we want to create then a method draw grid or draw table, and we put then also again the order itself inside, which holds all of our data, and secondly the page on which we want to display our grid. And now we create this new method draw grid, and here inside we create then a new PDF grid, which is then our table. And like you see here within our table, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different columns. And therefore we also want to create here 5 different headers with different texts. To create these 5 headers, you need to define here 5 columns and simply put here then the number inside how many you want to create. And secondly, you can then add to your grid these headers, and here you basically define how many header lines you want to have, and we want to have 1 header row. And now we can define the data for our header row, and therefore we access here the first cell, and then we put here the information inside that it is a product ID. And this is then basically the header of our first column. And now we also want to display here the name column and also all the other columns. This is pretty simple, so simply add here all the other columns inside and make sure that you have here every time an increasing index. And now we also want to display then these header information within our page. And therefore we simply call here this grid draw method and put here our page inside. And secondly, you need to define where your grid or your table should be displayed. And therefore you simply put here the coordinates inside. So in my case, I only define the Y coordinate. And with this, if you regenerate your PDF document, you see that we have here our first header row inside with all the different text that we have defined. Next, we want to polish our data table here a bit up so that we make it more friendly. And we also want to include here then all the rows and data cells here with our data inside. Therefore, let's get started by defining here the style of our header. And therefore, you can basically define here a text style and we make it, for example, bold. And secondly, you also can define here the background color of your header. And you also can set then the text foreground color, which we set then to white. And with this, we have a blue header with a white foreground color. Next, we want to include here all the different data within our data table. Therefore, we access here our order object, and this order object has a list of products that we want to display here within our data table. And therefore, we simply map here over all of our products, and for each of our product, we want to create then a new row. And therefore, you can call here on your grid rows and then you add a row. And now we can define what we want to display in this row. And therefore, we can basically access here all the different cells of our row. And first of all, we want to put our product ID inside for the first column. For the second column, we define then the product name, and we also define here then all the other columns. And with this, we have now defined for each of our columns the different data from our products. We also want to improve the style of our data table a bit, so we want to include here some spacing around our cells, and we also want to include here these different color style. Therefore, we can first of all go here over our header row cells, which is then here the first row with all of our header information. And here we can basically access all the different cells. And for all of our cells, we want to include then a style and cell padding. And with this, you can then include some padding to your cell. And we simply add here to all sides 5 pixels. And the same thing you can also apply to all of the other rows. And therefore we access here each individual row, and then out of these rows we get all the cells. And now we also want to set for all of our cells then here a style cell padding, and we also add here then this padding to all sides inside of 5 pixels. Next, we also want to give our table a better style so that we make every second row here in a blue background color. And to achieve this is pretty simple, so simply go to your draw grid method, and here inside you have then this grid apply build install method. And here inside you can then basically define an inbuilt style that was already created for you. And with this, the background color of our rows will always change here. And lastly, if you want to generate here this whole PDF document with also here this footer and here this header at the top, then simply check out the source code with the first link in the description, and with the second link you can get access to my Flutter courses where I teach you how you can become a better and more efficient developer. Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel here to get the latest news about Flutter, and see you soon. Bye!